tubes going down into the motor and burning olive oil as you're driving down.
Here's Jenny. Thank you, Ed. Well, hello there, my social media family. Being of any persons among yourselves, from my, subscribers or followers, well, however you all want to, say it. Well, as some such persons among themselves will be much more commonly called, likewise much more commonly known as subscribers. Yes. From my subscribers to visitors, even so, who are affiliated, associated with, and are representing my own particular personal YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room or comment section. Although any visitors could not possibly be given the same props as any of my subscribers, being a wish should prove to have become a be, a no-brainer, as in self-explanatory. No, you cannot, in other words, be given the same respect. I mean, being because for that to happen, you would have to, say, as being one among visitors, think of it with mind's intentions to just as much, or better yet to be said and stated for record, that much more press the subscribe button than just the like button. The subscribe button to my own particular YouTube social media channel than just the like button to any of my social media broadcasts, video content, material posts. Otherwise, you're not really doing me any favor. And I would think that you would be making a fool out of yourselves, if you ask me. I mean, if you're going to press the like button, then why be so lazy and leave it at that? It only takes, a minute, not even much as that, but up under a minute to likewise shortly after press the subscribe button to let me know that you appreciate my works of art. Then because I put a lot of time and energy, as well as, foresight and hindsight into any of my productions, or hopefully more than half, as in most, if not all, the summers. And depending on how I feel, be I feel inspired, or be I feel up under the weather, whatever I ever said. So give me some of such incentive to continue to produce, much faster, and that all depends on whether or not more of some of such visitors would think with a mind's intentions, whereas they themselves could possibly and finally join the rank and file of my real social media family, being my subscribers, whereas you would be considered as being officially and not just technically, because you're really not on my social media family if you have not subscribed. You're just a visitor paying a visit to my social media channel and likewise chat room comment section, like some kind of peeping Tom, peeping through the window, and from there romancing the thought of from practically to worse yet possibly, transforming yourselves into the likes of sexual predator, animal monster characters. God forbid. I'm just making what do you call it? Analogy, whatever that's called. Hopefully nobody would be thinking about me coming in some of such a character as that. I mean, you just, or in other words, to use a better analogy, I think that's what it's called, a better parallel, or you're just a window shopper, looking through the window at the jewelry for a diamond store, place of business, but you're not really serious about making a purchase or buying anything, you know, regardless of whatever your annual income may be. Not even so much as putting down something of a down payment is is, is that is a down payment being of which is what I'm gonna say. Skew partner, forgive me if I butcher the English language and American dialect, but I think you get the general idea of what I'm trying to say. Whereas down payment is like a portion, like as in a subtotal rather than a sum total. If you're not from well-to-do or rich, I know I have yet to, if I were to go back to that addiction of gambling, hopefully not, being that because I'm a baby in recovery and I can't afford to gamble on a fixed or limited income, and that's like just substituting one addiction for another. And I'm in recovery for drinking and drugging too. And with my drug of choice was Mary Jane, Marijuana. Yes, I am butchering the English language American dialect. But anyway, though, the backtrack here to complete a formalized thought, yeah, I mean, by anybody pressing the like button, you're not doing me a favor, and you just from insulting to disrespecting me by doing something such otherwise in due regard in reference to my own channel, because you're not seriously thinking how I put great effort and likewise I put great, like I said, from such forth, great efforts as well as great thought and making these productions, as I was saying much earlier, so I paraphrase, not quote exactly. So give me some incentive to want to produce something such much faster by how any visitors could possibly think of it with my intentions to likewise hopefully much faster subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, if you're not going to press the subscribe button as well, or that much more than how you could press the like button, then please don't do it. You just making yourself look foolish, okay? By being lazy. I mean, don't take any more than a minute. As a matter of fact, up on the minute, half a minute for that matter, a couple few seconds, Otherwise, if you're just going to press the like button, then you can save that action for somebody else's channel, social media channel, because it's not appreciated here, because it's not putting me any closer to finally, to possibly and finally acquiring, the 4,000 subscribers so stipulated by the board of directors of YouTube administrative representative personnel for that or some such given moment in time, so that they themselves can finally begin paying me some or such the mutual denarios or monetary finances of currency in whatever sort of type or in whatever form of fashion or format, hopefully American, yeah, for producing any social media content, video broadcast material. And although I will continue to produce anything being of a religious nature, and provided that it doesn't or don't become or be some kind of a conflict of interest, or with the exception if it could possibly contradict that being of my own personal religious beliefs of faith and or spirituality. And like say, for free of charge, I will produce that being, because I am obligated as a believer in God, as in Christian, aka Protestant, to share the gospel message of Christ's salvation with whoever at whatever time. You know, I mean, it is my responsibility as well as any others, but what that is who being of the few among us, to do just that, compared to how the majority of most churchgoers, being of whatever religious denomination, are nothing but a bunch of closet devil worshippers. And not just of the worst, but the worstest ones yet of that nature. Including the prosperity preacher and televangelists among them, who outnumber their female or woman religious rival counterparts, fleecing the flocks, fleecing the bad sheep or flocks, or the moo cattle of herds, getting all that tax-free money as they steal from the tithe offering trays of their supposed so-called religious sanctuaries or mega churches, seating from hundreds to thousands. And as those Jim Jones wannabes that supply all of that supposed so-called updated or new and improved Jonestown Kool-Aid mix punch to any members of and visitors to their mega churches, stretching a couple few seated suburban blocks and seating from hundreds to thousands, being members of and visitors to the same of the said in question, in the aforementioned. And through those others' eardrums, with all that religious hype, sermons and sabbatical Sunday school classes, and are not any closer to becoming or being a citizen of the kingdom of heaven and entering through the pearly gates, as well as those gullible fools who they will pull the wool over the eyes thereof, and as they will themselves will come off as wolves in sheep's clothing, of the hirelings who care nothing about the sheep compared to the chief shepherd of our souls. Yeah. And right along with the slight interjection, whereas they would, make purchases of, as invited, simply say, dime a dozen luxurious mansions, expensive, chauffeur-driven motor vehicles, automobiles, private helicopters, private jets, private planes, private buses, private trains, private yachts, and etc., with other people's money being of the working stiff, as they will drain their bank accounts of its life savings, and then send those same gullible fools to the dog houses, the poor houses, to rescue mission shelters, to crazy houses, as well as jail houses. And as they don't care anything about them, because they're attempting to establish empires of religious nature in the world and get all that tax-free money and be like the blind leading the blind into the fiery flames of lake of fire down hell. Yeah. So much for that conversation of the house. And when I know how to get on there, I was just saying, and more worth it. Less, something about unless I feel more inspired, I could that much more produce some of such, even so, until equal to well, especially when it comes to that of format compared to vice versa. And, and please do, excuse, pardon, forgive me if I mouth off like the lesser two evil being a prodigal son at some given time. Well, hopefully not so much as with the usages of excuse profanity or cuss, or without using cuss words to simply say, depending on how I feel at the moment, hopefully not so much like the lesser two evil being a prodigal son compared to how much less like one. And not that that is what I wanted to discuss. But then I hope all's well that ends well with you all, your loved ones, your family and friends, all the same as me and mine. I mean, my life. And whereas the present social media broadcast as we have it, then as it is, some of such social media content, video broadcast material, is regarding and making reference to that of how a Venezuelan national who had entered our country and nation illegally, or whereas this Venezuelan male or an illegal migrant, being of the rank and file of Colonel Riffraff, the usual suspects in our public enemy number one, had approached, these college or university students within the Midwest of the USA and for the north side of the city metropolitan Chicago, Illinois. And where he was supposed to be wearing some dark clothing and a hoodie and a whole, what you call it, criminal attire, his ensemble wardrobe or outfit or whatever I said. And he was packing a poo-poo and unloaded it. He popped that he shot it at more than quite a few of those college or university students. And he took down one, being of a white girl, and whereas his name is supposed to be Jose, I think, what was that, Jose Medina? But then don't ask me what the white girl's name was or is supposed to be, because I don't remember. Sorry about that. But anyway, though, he had unalived her. Took her life. He had unalived her. That's a milder way of saying that somebody has either murdered or killed another individual person or oneself, and it is a word that was popularized by one TikTok social media influencer by the name of by a TikTok social media influencer by the name of one Mr. Ray William Johnson, or being of whom is the TikTok social media influencer in question, who had, popularized that word, being a replacement or a substitute for some such other, And whereas, unfortunately, the white girl that this criminal riffraff character of a Venezuelan national, being an illegal migrant of a male, unfortunately, whereas when he himself had popped her with his poo-poo, she was most certainly, definitely unalived, and pronounced DOA, dead on arrival, as he had shot her in the back like a Cali cowboy in the old Western days would shoot another cowboy in the back, you know. Yeah. And whereas doctors and nurses could not resuscitate her, she was DOA, dead on arrival, at a local vicinity area. I say a local vicinity area neighborhood community hospital medical facility for its premises of properties at a given address location. And but then karma's a monster in the cuss. When this Venezuelan national, an illegal migrant of a male, was arraigned for a subpoena to appear in court, he couldn't do it at the scheduled appointed date and time because he himself was put in a hospital for TB, tuberculosis, as I'm hearing it, you know. But nevertheless, they got his number. They had taken him into custody, apprehended or arrested this fugitive from the law, you know. Members of the law enforcement community, as in cops and detectives, they found, as in discovered his whereabouts, either where he lived or hang out. And now his goose is cooked. It's a done deal. He won't be harming or hurting anybody else, you know. Yeah. And thanks a lot, Joe Biden. I'm sorry, I can't get my words together at this late hour. Yeah. See, so just imagine how many more of the likes of this male character could have settled among American citizens and foreigners blending in after, you know, the former ex-president-elect had permitted them to enter our country and nation in droves, like a big old Trojan horse, you know. And whereas the Venezuelans are the ones who make up most of the illegal migrants, like as if by calling them undocumented workers otherwise makes them legal. Come on now, come off of that. Come on, man. And the Venezuelans were the main ones who were ripping off the American taxpayers, living high on the hog, getting all the freebies. $20,000 in food stamp benefits per individual person that likes them on an annual or monthly basis for the last 4 years for the Biden administrative government bureaucracy. And likewise, $5,000 in cash benefits in that same line of thought, that is, per individual person of Venezuelan upon a monthly basis for the last 4 years. You know, and in addition to all the other freebies they were getting, likewise at the American taxpayers' expense. And just for coming here. And Biden had done that to try to ensure that he himself could possibly be reelected. As a matter of fact, as I'm hearing it, well, hopefully it's more fiction than fact, but from what I have gathered, it would seem to be more fact than fiction. I heard that certain ones of the Venezuelans, they have been speed dialed through the process of not only becoming American citizens, but also whereas they've been speed dialed through the process of becoming eligible to not only become members of our nation's armed forces, being of the military, but also of our nation's police forces. Can you imagine that? Really now? Totally ridiculous. Thanks a lot, Biden, for nothing. That's what I meant to say much earlier. Yeah. Anyway, though, so this Venezuelan male had popped this white girl in the back. She looked fairly okay. And that's sad. That's kind of irrelevant whether she would be, you know, a beautiful bombshell or a plain Jane. He had no right to take her life. Violate her like that. Well, at least he didn't sexually assault or raped her. At least I don't think he did, if I do recall correctly. I mean, that's like a worse death than death. I mean, for a female or a woman to, still be in the land of the living and then have that nightmare rehashed over and over again within her mind, regardless of whether or not she were to get some or such much necessary therapy, counseling for that, for having been sexually assaulted or raped. Yeah. They're climbing in your windows, snatching your peeps and folks up. Had your kids, had your wives, and had your husband. Close everybody out here. But then April was supposed to be Sam. Yeah. Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The month of April. The whole month of April. Like we had Black History Month for the month of February. So I suppose white folks, white peace, certain ones, not all of them, could say, well, why can't we have like White History Month? There's no need to have that. You speaking upon those matters now that come, man, because you have American history and you have world history, and I would think that the majority or most or both of American history and world history is about the white man or white boys pillaging and plundering the other races of peoples or the non-whites throughout the world, not just for years, but for decades and or centuries, even as human history began, you could say, or at least up until the time that, white people became white people, although the cradle of human civilization supposed to have started in Africa. As the further they moved away from, the equator, from the sun, certain blacks, the lighter they got, although I don't consider myself as being black or white, but just an American, first and foremost a Christian, aka Protestant. And not that I mean to sound and seem like I'm like, how you say, or how should I put it? What's the word? Something about. I had it on the tip of my tongue. I forgot. What do they call it? Oh wow, I forgot it just laid out. Something about. Wagging the dog, as in changing the subject. Yeah. But then, since it come to mind, how'd I get on that? I just laid that one. I was speaking about how she's supposed to be a white girl and so forth. They got murdered, killed, or unalived, and how it is fortunate, not that she had got unalived, but that she didn't get sexually assaulted or raped, you know. At least I don't think she did. And whereas I was saying that, and they just get me to thinking how April is supposed to be Sam, sexual assault awareness month, you know. Then some such other came into play, reflecting upon, you know, another month for some such other to be done about. Yeah. Then the devil is like a roaring lion seeking to steal, kill, and destroy. Like a wolf going after a little Red Riding Hood, her mom and her grandma, you know. But then, in closing, I like to say, a slight interjection. So that Venezuelan male, he was caught, and now he had to face the music, be put on trial, and depending on what our own capital punishment is like for the state of Illinois, I don't think we have the death penalty on the books. So if anything, he will get a life sentence without possibility of parole, depending on whether or not it was premeditated, the murder or the killing in question, or as he himself had this illegal migrant of a Venezuelan male had unalived this white girl as a Caucasian female person, a woman. But then hopefully she had accepted Christ as her own personal Lord and Savior before she left this world. Unfortunately, via that of a violent attack of a physical nature, as she had become subject to experiencing a civil and human rights violation offense. In that regard, in reference to some such matters of a criminal illegal hate crime being of that nature. Anyway, though, in closing, I'd like to say, if you have not gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins. By recognizing and realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross Calvary on the hill of Golgotha, something at the hands of Roman soldiers up under the orders of their superiors, being a more so or mainly mostly religious Pharisees and Sadducees, but then nevertheless ways he went to that cross of Calvary, become the first sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. Don't steal my trademark physical gesture. I'm gonna have to copyright sometime unless I want to risk it being plagiarized. Whereas God, who had come in human flesh to restore the breach between himself and mankind. Whereas if any of us, regardless of race, walk life, gender, age, etc., would profess faith in him, from there we become and be blessed in one regard or another. One was one person for, most with his salvation, then of which is the only means by which we can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven, and that's the only fire assurance against electrified down hell. The second of all was we blessed with deliverance. First, you have got to get a salvation, being of the much more most important blessing. Otherwise, you have nothing coming so far. Blessing is concerned. When you make that transition for the great beyond the hereafter, and you don't have it for your immortal human soul, then your final destination will become hell. Compared to we as believing God will be blessed with citizenship for the kingdom of heaven, and even so be blessed down here and hopefully become a blessing on to another by sharing with them the gospel message of salvation, so that they could share it also with other people. Y'all take care. We out. Peace.